on my page, which is just wendygordon.substack.com. But it is Wendy with an I, WENDIGORDON.substack.com. Anyway, the first mask that I learned to wear from a very young age is the mask of being the person who knows all the answers. I was the straight A student that other kids hated as I got older because I would ruin the curve for them on tests. And I was the one who, when the teacher asked a question, my hand would immediately shoot up. And sometimes they would say, well, let's see if anybody else knows, because I answered so many questions. But so I learned very quickly that, knowing the right answer got me praise and got me good grades and made my parents happy and made me feel good about myself and smart and all of those things. And that continued through college, through graduate school, less so in graduate school, because obviously there's a whole lot of other very smart people in seminary with me, but certainly through college, graduated summa cum laude, and just constantly was praised and asked to tutor other students, etc. And I wore that mask proudly. I loved being seen as smart and being in all the gifted and talented special classes and advanced stuff. But the older I get, the more aware I become that sometimes I am dead wrong about things. And other times what I think I'm right about, I don't know enough about. I may have part of the story, but not all of it. As I've shared before, my religious beliefs are one example of that. I no longer identify as Christian, despite my former career as a pastor, and despite the fact that I do still currently attend a church because I like a lot of other things about it. Like that it is LGBTQ affirming and very active in social justice ministries and directly, collecting food for food pantries and so forth. But being the expert with all the answers, it was a heavy burden, even though it brought benefits with it. And that continued into my former career as a pastor. I was expected to be the expert that people would turn to ask questions like, why does God allow bad things to happen to good people? Or, the Bible says this, what does it mean? Or what do you think? Or how come how can you be a female pastor was another one, because the Bible says women should not have teaching authority over men, and other verses quoted out of context. But I vividly remember one person coming to me for advice, coping with something that had bothered him for years, and asking me a question along the lines of, why did God let this happen? And me saying, better minds than mine have wrestled with that question for thousands of years, and I have yet to read or hear about a fully satisfactory answer. And he was angry, and he said, well, when I go to a plumber, I expect them to know how to unclog my drain. And I expect you to have the answers about God and theology. And that's what you studied in school. And along with that, there would be people that would always want me to pray for them, because they would think that somehow I had this inside connection with God, or I was closer to God than they were, or God would be more likely to listen to me. But again, the older I've gotten, the more I can see the wisdom of other spiritual traditions and spiritual leaders and just other people that I have conversations with, that I'm just open to, that in the past I would have dismissed out of hand, considered wrong, or at least wrong for me. And now I'm more curious than judgmental, and love to have conversations with people from other spiritual traditions, atheists, pagans, witches, Buddhist, Hindu, Sikh, Muslim, you name it, Jewish. And so I'm grateful that I'm at a place now where I'm okay with saying, I don't know, or being proven wrong about something, and that I no longer feel the need to always be right. So that's the first mask that I wore for years, and that I have learned as I've aged that I can take off and be upfront about not knowing something. And that has served me especially well in my new career as a writer, speaker, and coach in particular, because I'm very upfront with clients from day one that I don't have a perfect life now, and I'm not going to tell you that if you follow my 10-step plan, your life will be perfect, your problems will be solved, you'll never struggle with your mental health again, or any of the kinds of outrageous promises that sadly some coaches do make. Do this and you'll be rich like me, you'll be thin like me, you'll be whatever you want to be, basically, if you pay me enough money and have enough sessions with me.